Okay, so here we go. We are going to do a little bit of live coding and development of a static marketing site. This is not going to be driven by a CMS or anything like that. This is just for a little local company that wants to get a couple static pages up there. I will probably end up doing something with this, like a contentful or a Prismic kind of back end, even though it's not really a requirement. I might do that just here on stream, just to kind of show everybody. But I will show you what we're building this morning, at least what we're going to start on building this morning. I just have a couple hours to stream here. Pretty simple layout. It's got standard navigation, a little bit different treatment for their contact link. This kind of faded background header that we're going to have to think about how we implement that from a CSS and code perspective. And then we've got just some placeholder stuff for images and text for their kind of two homepage sections there. And then kind of standard boilerplate footer that we'll have to fill in. So it's not an overly complex thing to build, but it's a good place to start. And I think we're just gonna go ahead and dive in, right? So I'm gonna build this with Tailwinds and Gatsby. So I've already got just a Gatsby site set up. And actually, I think I need to start my local server here. So let me just view my terminal real quick. And yeah, I'm in the right directory. So let's just hit a Gatsby develop. That'll take a couple seconds to spin up, but you'll see that we don't really have anything there yet. Now, as you were looking at this site, you see that they have team and projects and services. We'll generate those out as static Gatsby pages as well. Actually, like I said, we probably will go ahead and tie this into something like Contentful or something like that, just so that we can kind of just build those out. They're kind of managed. They're just coming from a query. We've just kind of got to, quote unquote, set it and forget it. All right, so my local server's up. You can see, it's nothing but the default starter, right? So I think the first thing we want to do, let me do another terminal down here. So the first thing we want to do is get Tailwind in there and set up. So let's check that quick. I will do an npm install Tailwind CSS. The mic a little bit closer. And yeah, I'm an npm guy. I know a lot of folks like to use Yarn. Yarn wasn't around when I started using npm because I'm an old man, but I still use npm. It's fine. Yes, there's pros and cons. Debate me, but I don't see a big difference. Okay, so we've got Tailwind installed. Now we're going to come into our source, and I always like to put my CSS in its own directory. Some people like to put it with the components or with like the layout component or whatever. I like to put it in its own. So let's just do, I usually like to do site or app, depending on what I'm building. So we'll need to pull in Tailwind base at Tailwind components and at Tailwind utilities. Pull those in. But now that we've got those kind of set in there, they're not really going to do anything. So we've got to do a little more legwork here. First thing we want is post CSS, so we can get that installed and running. And there's a Gatsby plugin for it. So Gatsby plugin, post CSS. Now, as we walk through building this application, I'll kind of walk you through why I'm making some of the decisions that I'm making with how I'm structuring the code and things like that. But this is just kind of the setup just to get us running. And yes, I know if you're watching, I have big headphones here. They're massive, but they work great. and it's good for listening to music all day. They're comfortable. It's not a plug. It's just telling you why I have big headphones. All right. So now that we've got this set up, we're going to go into our Gatsby config. And this is just, again, the standard config, right? But we want to come down in this plugins list. And I'm just going to add Gatsby plugin post CSS. So the one that we just installed. Now we're going to do a empty post CSS config file. And then we're also going to do our Tailwind config file. Oh shoot, what is it? It's Tailwind init. No, what's that command? Hold on, I gotta look that up. Oh, you run with npx. npx Tailwind CSS init. Okay. So now we've got our Tailwind config, which we're going to leave blank for now. I'm probably not going to do a lot of customizations to it right this second. And then an empty post CSS config. So we're going to want a script that's going to run to kind of build our styles as we're going, but we'll get there in a second. The first thing we got to do is actually set up the stuff that builds the style. So in this post CSS, post CSS config file, we'll set up tailwinds. And we'll say that equals require tailwind CSS, and then we will module.exports plugins. We'll say tailwind /tailwind.config.js. Okay. So we get that done. Got our CSS file added. And now we're going to import this into our site. So if we notice here, the easiest way to kind of check to see if this is running is notice your font, right? This is a serif font by default. Tailwind by default is going to be a sans serif font. And also Tailwind removes all the link stylings by default. So we'll see these links go black, essentially. You will still see the purple up here because the default header Gatsby, or default Gatsby theme, the header component, has those styles kind of hard-coded in there as a styled component. So we'll tweak that in a little bit, but we'll kind of come in here to our, where do we want to be? We want to be in components and we want to be in the layout. Now we're already importing this layout.css. I am actually going to, first of all, let's just do it so it autocompletes. So /css site.css. Save that, and then I'm actually going to kill the layout CSS that came with Gatsby. So we'll move that to trash. And we've got some problems. What did we skip? We missed, I think, the build part. Oh, you know what? You know what it is? We changed the Gatsby config file, and we probably need to restart the server for that. Let's watch that go. There we go. So let's see now. Yeah, so you can tell now we're at that sans serif font that we have by default. You can see that, yeah, the purple stayed, but the font size changed, and then the link styling went away. So we've got tailwinds in play. Easy way to check it, though, is let's just go to our homepage component. And let's just do a Gatsby classes. So we know we got text like 3XL, and we'll do like text red 500. So we should see that be red and bigger than what it is now. It is great. So now we've got Tailwinds up and running. So at this point, what I like to do is go in and kind of clear out a bunch of stuff that's in there. Kind of set it up my own way. So we'll do that. Now, look, I kind of have my own rhyme and reason with the way that I set stuff up. So if it's different than what you do, that's fine. No big deal. But I'm just going to kind of do it the way that I'm used to doing it. So let me get in here and we'll start setting that up and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so first things first is I basically want to clear out the home and we'll set that there. I want to set some of the config stuff as well. So the name of this client and this site that we're working on, if you can't tell, is Southeastern Consulting Engineers. They do the big power generators and stuff that you see that power lines connect to. That's kind of their bread and butter, and then they do some other stuff as well. I'm friends with one of the higher ups there, and so he and I were talking. We're like, yeah, you can stream the build of this site, no problem. So that's why we're doing it. So we want to change the title to be Southeastern Consulting Engineers. And I want to spell engineers right. Engineers. Yeah, that's the right way to do it. I will kick this out for now, and we'll refill that in with our actual SEO data when we get there. Actually, they have their own, I believe, Twitter account. So there's that. That's set up, no big deal. We will then take a look at the site. You see that this is kind of already pre-filled in there. That's what I want. For now, home is fine for my SEO title. But I want to go into the layout and I want to tweak this a little bit. So I don't like to... When I work with the layout component, I really want it to kind of wrap everything except the content itself, right? Now, Gatsby by default extracts that into a header component. Some folks like to do header and footer components and nav components. I don't really like to do that unless there's a really complex use case that you need to kind of think through. And for this site, we don't have it. So I'm actually going to put the navigation, the footer, all that stuff in the main layout file just to make life a little bit easier for development. This is one of those it's one of those speed builds for a site. It's one that's like, yeah, I'll knock this out pretty quick if you let me stream it. So I'm not going to take the time to extract a lot of stuff. And also I kind of know what they are, what they're wanting to build anyway. And I know it's going to be pretty light. So long-winded way to say, let's kill this header component. Oops. Call. And we really don't need to pull anything out of it, right? It's just kind of showing the site title here. And we already know that already, so I think we're good. We'll kill that. We'll kill the import for the header. We don't need, at this point, to actually run this query because all that was doing was getting the title to pass to the header. And at this point, I'm not using that. So I'm going to comment that out because I may do some stuff later. Actually, I know I'm going to do some stuff in a minute to grab some logos and things like that. So we'll just comment it out for a hot second here. So I'm actually just going to kind of start stubbing out some of the design pieces. So I like to put this in a header. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see. So I like to put the navigation in the header. Header tag is what I mean there. So I'll have a header tag with the logo, a nav tag with a UL that has the navigation links, and then a little border on the bottom, no big deal. This kind of splash image or splash text here will actually be on the homepage component. Now this background image is one we're going to have to figure out. I may start passing that around on the body, but I'm not sure yet. we'll just have to see. So we may just leave it with like kind of a black background for now, and we'll fix that in a bit. These images will obviously be on the home page. This logo and the logo above are actually the same one for simplicity's sake, but we'll make sure we export them out. We'll use Gatsby and the image plugin to get the stuff we need to put that in. And then we've got our navigation down here at the bottom. I'm probably going to repeat it. I could extract it into a component and tell it to display in columns or not, but for as simple as this is, I'm just going to repeat it. So we need to kill this div. That's bad. Or that's going to break for us, I should say. So let's go back in. We have our header. I said we're going to, if we look at this, I want the header to kind of be in Tailwind's container. So it kind of sets its width and centers up. And then we'll flex it as well, and we'll put the logo and the nav in there. So let's see. We will, first of all, class name equals flex. And we do want to give it a border bottom, and we want to say the border is white. And then we will say, let's give the logo just a width of like 1/3, just to kind of hold its place. And then we'll give the other one 2/3, and well, here, I'll show you what we'll do. So we'll basically say the logo is here, and then we will have width 2/3 there. And here's where I'll have my nav. Let's say silly autocomplete. So we'll say li. And then we'll do link, and we'll say home just to get us started. Well, actually, let's go ahead and stub these out. And what were my links again? I'll pull this down just so we can see. Kind of stack them a little bit. I see, I'll fix in a second. I see on stream that my, actually, that's actually this right there. My green screen's kind of fuzzy a little bit. I'll adjust my light in just a second if that's bothering anybody. So we've got the logo in there. Let's get some of the links here. So we've got home, we've got about, team, services. Now, yes, I could and probably will build out this navigation dynamically. But what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to kind of stub out the layout, and then I want to come back and add in some of those dynamic elements. Sometimes I do it that way, sometimes I do it all at once, but I also kind of want to do it as kind of an incremental build so you can see how you can do some of this stuff. So let's just throw that out there. Team, services, projects, and contact. Okay, so now that we've got that rolling, we refresh and look at have. Cool. So we've got the two kind of sitting there, they're side by side. That's what we wanted, but we want to kind of increment on that. Iterate, not increment. We want to iterate on that a little bit more. So they're flexed and they're side by side. We want to tell this li, we want to give it the list reset class that Tailwind has. And then we also want to flex this. And what that'll do is give me the LIs side by side as well. Like that. And then for each of these LIs, and I probably should have done this before I saved it, I'll probably say, I want to give them a little bit of padding. So we'll do that. I'll tell them that their text, well, actually we should do that globally. Say that the text is uppercase. We won't mess with their style or color right now because we haven't done that with the background. Let's also come to the header, say it's container, and give it automatic margin left to right so it centers. Great. Now, one thing you're noticing, actually, let me put this on a couple more. So I'll show you one of the reasons why I like to do this is have them be in kind of two containers that we can flex. So now if you notice, my logo and my links don't line up vertically. Like I want them to kind of be in a straight line. So that's an easy fix. We want to just adjust that with how Flexbox lines up items. And so the way to do that with Tailwinds is we just want to say items center. And you see that adjusts them to always be centered. So if I come in and add, if I change this to be padding 8 and really blew it up, you would see that logo would still kind of adjust. And that'll give us a nice kind of visual look when we get there where this line of text is kind of aligned vertically with the middle of this logo. So that's good. We've got that going for us. Now we want to, I made them, oh, you know what? I did that wrong. That's why they're not uppercase. It shouldn't be text uppercase. It should just be uppercase. Aha. So now we're rolling. I do want to show you one thing too. If I put a border and just do border red 500 on the header, you see that nav is not flush right. And I want that to kind of be flush with the right edge. And again, that's an easy Flexbox fix, but we'll use the Tailwinds class justify end. Oh, we shouldn't do justify end on that. We want the, I always get this wrong. I think it's here. No, actually, you know what? Probably just do a text right. Nope, we can't do that. Is it, do I need to flex this and then do justify? And yeah, that's what I need to do. So I need to flex the nav, so the container that the LI is in, and then tell it to justify its content to the end of the container. So we've got a decent little nav structure set up. I'm gonna pull this border off. We'll bring in that image in a minute. Do a touch of CSS here. So I'm going to do a couple things. I'm using apply here to put some Tailwind classes on the body. I want to do anti-aliased, and I also want to do black for the background. So that should rebuild our CSS there. It'll take it a second longer because it's got to run through post CSS and all that. Oops. So there it goes. So now you can see my white border, which is what I wanted, but I also need stuff here to be white. So we want to give the links a class. So this is Gatsby. This is not, when you work with Gatsby, understand that it uses React Router behind the scenes. So we want to import not the link component from React Router, but from Gatsby, because Gatsby does a wrapper around React Router that helps it when it generates stuff from a static perspective. So we want to make sure that we use that. But the methods and the props are pretty much exactly the same. And I'm going to fix my green screen here by adjusting my light. See if that works. See if that doesn't. That didn't do anything. Stand by. Stand up. See what this does. That knocked down my green screen. That's great. Standby stream. This is the first time streamers. Hold tight. Well, it fell again. Let's fix it. Hold on. I'll be right back. Sorry, my mic was muted. So I fixed the screen the best I could. I'll fix it later before I stream again. What I was saying about Gatsby's links is they use the same kind of API as React Router, which means we can go in and do class name. We can also do active class name, which we'll do in a bit. But I want it to be text white. And paste this in these other links. Cool. Now the logo, I'm not going to make text white because it's actually going to be an image. So I'm going to export that image real quick, and then we'll actually pull that in with Gatsby's GraphQL API. So let's see here. Quick little Adobe XD stuff. Do I already have this as a group? Nope, I don't think I do. So group that. And then I want to mark that group for export. No, actually, I just want to export it. That's what I want to do. Export selected. So we will go to Gatsby's folder. We will go to source, images, and we'll delete these default Gatsby images in a minute, and we'll fix the icon too. So we'll do SCE power logo white. PNG is great. It's for web. And we'll export that. Cool. Now, the other thing I want to do, and I'll actually do it with this one down here, is I want to do this. And they have a red color that is part of their brand. So I want to fill that and the border that. I should probably hosed how that logo laid out, but we can fix that real quick. Change that fill. No fill on that one. You know what? Actually, I like that as a logo treatment better than the solid white. We'll fix that. Okay, so let's do this. We'll make this a group, and then I'm going to export selected. And we'll export this as Gatsby icon, and we'll let it build the favicon off of that. So we'll place that. We will then come back up here, and I'll go into the group. I want this and this to have that fill color, and then I want this to have that border color. Sweet. And then we will go back to this group and we will export selected. And we'll do it as the SCE power logo. We're still going to call it logo white just because the primary part of it is white, and it will overwrite this other image for us. So we'll export, replace. Cool. Okay, so now I'm going to uncomment our query stuff that we had earlier because I do want this to run now, but I want to get the images. So first of all, I am going to open a little snippet I have in another window here from another client to take a look at this, because I always forget how you, I always forget some of the pathing to some of this stuff. So let me find it real quick. That one, open, and source. It's also a Gatsby site. That's what I'm up. Oh no, that's a template. Where is that thing? Hold on, I'm looking, folks. Oh, it's in the layout. That's where it is. Okay, here we go. So we're gonna do a query, GraphQL query here. Actually, maybe we should write this in the browser so we can see how it's working. So Gatsby is going to give us a GraphQL interface that we can play around with. So we'll start with that. Okay, so sorry, had to take a drink of coffee. Here is what we're going to do. We are going to essentially say, hey, I want, let's call it SCE logo. Let's say it's a file. The relative path is going to equal SCE, what do we call that thing? I've already forgot, even though we talked about it twice. Oh yeah, SCE power logo white. SCE power logo white.png. And when we get that, we want the fields. Well, we want to get Gatsby's kind of image manipulation bit. And we want to say, hey, we want to use fluid to kind of resize it for us by default. We want to say the quality of this guy is 90. That's fine. And let's set his max width to be... I've always noticed that the widths between XD and even the pixel sizes between XD and the web are a little off. So I'm going to set it to be the max here, but we may tweak it down a little bit. So the width here is 325. So we know we don't want it any bigger than that. So we're going to, let me go back to the browser. Set the max width to be 325. And with that image, we want the Gatsby image sharp fluid. Oh, you know what? That's because that other site has another thing in it. So let's look at fluid. Yep, we said we wanted that, and we want the source. Let's just get the source. So that's going to query, that's going to give us the path to our resize file there. And that's what we want. So now let's just copy that query actually and go back into our layout file. So we've got that same query and it's there. So we want to use now Gatsby's image component, which you can see we use already on, well, we deleted it. We used it on the home page here. Right? And that image component is basically calling this Gatsby astronaut. So what we can do here is actually kind of mimic this. And so I want to change what fields I'm bringing back in my layout. Since we were just looking at that, I want to change it to that. And then I want to come over to this component and I want to grab, like it's this image component I want to use, right? The Gatsby image component. Oops, let me open that again. So I want to use the IMG component from Gatsby. So I want to use Gatsby image. So I'm just going to import that. And I want to say here that I want to use IMG. And I think it's fluid or source? Fluid. Right. So we'll come back here. Yeah, we can say that. That's fine. So we'll come back here. We'll say fluid. And notice that data is going to be kind of given to me as the result of this GraphQL query. I want to not call placeholder image, but I want to call SCE logo. Oops. Let's run this. generate images, everything built fine. Nothing broke, I don't think. Let's go back to our site. And you see now there's our logo. And you see that's what I was talking about. Like Adobe XD, like the image size is a little off there. I think I really wanted about half of that. So half of 325 would be like 162 and a half. I don't want to do that. Let's just do like 165. See how that goes. Gotta rebuild. Interesting. Let's just go crazy with it. Why is that not resizing for me, I wonder? What's going on here? Oh, you know what? Because it's doing the picture object there. It's giving me source sets and stuff. So, yeah, we're actually getting that one, I believe. So that's going to work well for some of the images that we have on the page, but for this, don't think it is. Oh, that's a problem. We don't want that, do we? Why is that there? Did I make a mistake in the code? What's going on there? I'll copy it over so we can kill that. And then we just want to get source. And then that means we can get rid of this. And we can just do a regular image tag. And we can say source equals data dot sce power or sce logo dot child image sharp dot fluid dot source. And we want our alt tag to be SE Southeastern. Now see, that's really small because it's taking into account the 50 that we had up here. So let's do 325 again and see if that was actually jacked or not. No. Okay, cool. Now we're rolling. So this is a learning experience for me too. I'm by no means a Gatsby expert, so I learned something there. So let's come back to our header now and let's give it some padding. Let's do padding on the vertical axis only of about 6. It's not terrible, but I want it to be a little bit more. Let's see what 8 looks like. Okay, 8 feels good. So now if you notice, we've got this rolling, but I don't have my font stack right. Because if you come here, you notice that I am actually using Proxima Nova, which is a great font, and I've got some custom tracking on this nav. Now the tracking is the easy part. We can go ahead and fix that a little bit. That's actually called kerning. If you come from a typography background, you'll understand kerning. Quick typography lesson. Leading is the space between the lines. And then kerning is the space between the actual letters when you're kind of dealing with typography. I had a class in college where we had to hand draw letters for typography. It's one of those classes that I hated at the time, but now I'm really glad I took it. I think it makes me a better developer and designer and stuff like that. By no means am I the best developer or designer ever. I just think that taking that class helped me a little bit. Okay. Enough of my ranting. Let's come in here and fix that tracking on there. So Tailwind has a couple, or kerning, I should say. I'm calling it tracking because that's what Tailwind calls it, right? So if I come into Tailwinds and I search for tracking. It's under letter spacing. I think I'm going to start with widest and just see what we get. We may go custom on this, but for now, we'll start with widest. So on the actual UL, we're going to say tracking widest. And honestly, that's not terrible. We'll see what it looks like when we get the actual font in there. So for this actual font, we are going to use Adobe's Typekit. And I actually already have a Typekit set up that just has Proxima Nova in it. And so really all I need to do is come over to my site.css, and I'm just going to do an import. And that's going to bring in Proxima Nova for us, but you're going to notice that there's no difference. Rebuilds. And that's because I do need to do one thing. I want to come into my Tailwind and under theme, I don't want to extend, but I want to do font family. I want to say sans, and I'm just going to say Prox Nova. We're going to do that. And boom, there we go. Now you see that's a little bit smaller. So what it did is it actually shrunk the tracking down with us too. So I'm actually going to look at their default here. So their letter spacing is 0.1 em per widest. So we're gonna do some custom stuff off of that. So I'm gonna go to the layout. I'm gonna give this a class of tracking nav. I'm gonna go into my CSS file. Make a quick class real quick, tracking nav. And we're gonna say letter spacing. Oops. Now that's what Tailwinds was giving us. Let's go pretty dramatic on that and see what happens. We're building. That's pretty dramatic, but I think about half of that is what I wanted. So let's go 2.5. So a quarter of an em. Close. Let's go 3.5. I think that looks better. Let's go 3. And while we're doing that, I still feel like that logo is a touch big. So let's maybe take it down to max width of 300. Yeah, that's working better for me. I like this better. Okay. Now, we need to come in and do some custom classes on that contact button. So if you look here, you see it's a little bit different, and I just used a greater than symbol there. I'll put in some icons here in just a second. So let's go to contact. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it not with their brand colors just yet. I'm going to use the default Tailwind classes are red, and we'll see why in just a second. So let's give this a BG red 500. So the middle value of red. And then in here, I also want to do a span tag. We'll put the greater than symbol in there for now. We'll fix it in a second. We want to tell this link to also be inline block. And when we hover on it, we want it to be BG red, let's say 700, just to make it a little bit darker. Let's see what this gives us. Okay, so that's kind of what we're wanting. It's got a little bit of a hover on it. You know, that's fine. Tailwinds has announced something new that I want to try. They just did this last week, I believe. When did they drop 1.2? Yeah, February 5th. So last week. I want to work with transitions here. So I actually want to make that fade. See if I can make that fade a little bit. So what I'm going to do is actually do this transition colors class on it. Actually, I suppose I could do... Yeah, I can just do transition colors. So on the link, we'll do transition colors. So this should give us a subtle animation here. But it didn't. Why is it not? I wonder. Maybe let's try putting it. No. Why would it not? Okay. So maybe we'll come back to that because I just want to get some of this stuff built out. So here I'm going to say that this guy is already BG Red 700. Now I want to give all of this a padding of 2. Actually, no, I don't. Do a couple things. I'm going to tweak the font size of this just a little bit. Yeah, that's better. And then from there, we want to do this. We could flex them. So we could say flex. And that gives us what we want from this perspective. I can do a padding of 2 there, and I can wrap this padding of 2. Just kind of give me the same spacing around it. Okay. Now, same thing. Notice we want to align these vertically. So we'll say item center. Oops. I did on the nav. Should have been on the UL. So items center. Beautiful, beautiful. Now I do want to do a text center. Cool. So I need to bring it in Font Awesome because I like to use their icons. And so I'm going to grab the kit that I have from them, and I'm just going to import it to. Oops. Why are you trying to auto-complete me there, buddy? Oh, I bet because I didn't put a semicolon. Let's do that. So semicolon. Oh yeah, I totally broke some stuff. Let's let it rebuild a second. There it goes. So now I want to pick, it's called chevron, is what the icon is that I want. I want chevron right, but I can't remember the actual class for it. Cool. Oh, I shouldn't have pulled that down so much, should I? Oops. There we go now. Okay, so chevron right is what I want. I want to copy that. I'll go back to my code in that layout where it was contact. Cool. I want to do that, but I need to change it to class. Nice. I got a little chevron right there, but I don't like how it's almost like it's got some extra padding there. So let's see if we can figure out what's going on with the icon there. So there's that. It's text center. Oh, you know what? It's because we did... Okay, I think I know what it is. So it's actually doubling the padding on that because we did padding 2 and padding 2. Oh, no, it's not. Let's do this. Let's do padding right 0 just to see. It's better-ish. Let's do padding right of 1. Okay, I can live with that a little bit better. So that's their contact button. And they're out and they're ready to go. So I can hang around a little bit longer here. So maybe we should build out this homepage area here. Well, actually, before we do that, I told you I was telling you why I was using just the base reds. That's because I want to do a custom palette. So I'm going to do Tailwind. Oh, not Tailwind CSS. It's Tailwind palette generator. And there's one that I like to use. It's this one. So we're going to call it red because we want to overwrite the existing red colors. And their brand color is the base of this. Or no, was it that one? Which one did I do? Yeah, that's it. So we're going to generate. So now it's giving me a color palette. And granted, this isn't the greatest color palette out there. Go get like Steve Schroger's book, or the one that he and Adam Wathan wrote about, you know, designing with Tailwind. Refactoring UI, the name of the book. Go get Refactoring UI. And it's got better color palettes. But for me, this one's going to work. Actually, I like to copy it out of here better. So the way that we're going to extend this is we'll come to our Tailwind config, and in the extend part, we want to do a colors object. Colors. And then I want to say there's a red object. All right. So now when that rebuilds, we should notice those colors changing. So it looks like it rebuilt. Cool. That looks a lot better. So that's matching their brand. And it also means that now I've got a palette built off of their brand color, which is good. That's what I want. I want to be able to kind of keep things harmonious with their brand. So one thing we need to fix though is we did have that image import in this layout that we're now no longer using, because I saw the warning about that. So we can nuke that real quick. Okay, so let's go into the home page here. Yep, and let's kill all of that, which should now give us an empty page. Yep, that's what we thought. I'm just watching my stream for a second. There is a little delay. I want to make sure that you guys can see this. Yeah, you can. You can see the browser. Okay, cool. So we want to do this this marketing area here. This we are a progressive client. Sorry. So really, that's going to be a header, paragraph, 2 buttons. But I want to figure out a good way to offset these columns, because let's say that that's width of 2/3. So we'll show you how I'm going to do that. So I'm going to do, I want this to flex, and actually I think the width should be 1/3. Let's just kind of stub it out for now. Do an H1 because we want to say that's the most important thing on the page. Oops, I need to copy the text, not the element. All right, and I know that this needs to be uppercase. Copy that. Okay. And then these are going to be 2 links that we will set to go to contact us or our work. So that one obviously will go to contact us. This one will go to projects, call it our work. And we should probably flex those so we control their layout a little bit. Okay, so looking at the site, not going up because we don't have white text. So I think what I'm just going to do is kind of globally hit this here and say text white. And then actually I'm probably going to globally hit the links and say apply text white as well. We'll tweak that on a per link basis if we need to. These are going to be buttons, so it's going to be tweaked anyway, but baby steps. All right, great. So it's there, a little small. We can fix that. I want the kind of content here to be in a container. Close tabs. Okay, content's in a container now. That's great. But I want it to shift to the right. So we can kind of use our same trick that we used earlier with justifying items, I believe. We can say justify end. And that should, boom, send it over to the right. Hold on, I'm gonna try fixing my light again real quick, just because it's kind of real off kilter in here. There we go. That may have actually made it worse. We'll see. All right, so now, oh yeah, that definitely made it worse. Okay, you know what? Let's do this. I'm gonna kill the green screen real quick. So, give me just a second. I'll turn the webcam off. All right, now let's turn the webcam back on. Okay, you see, that part works. I gotta go this way. That part works. That's where the green screen's laying. So it looks like there's a black hole behind me. That's okay. We'll go with this. All right, back to the code. That's what's important. We need to make this larger. So let's come to our H1 text 3XL. I can get behind that, but we want it to be, I want it to be black. I want it to be heavy. Ooh, I don't want it to be that heavy, I don't think. Maybe I do. But let's do tracking wide best. The Tailwind one, just to kind of spread it out just a little bit. Maybe wider. See what wider looks like. Nope, gotta save. I think I like wider. Still think it needs to be bigger though. Let's go all the way to 5. That's too big. Let's go to 4. That's more like it. So with that there, I want to take the paragraph up a little bit to maybe that's 2XL. I like that, but 1/3 now is too small. So 1/2 is going to be too big, I believe. Actually, maybe not. I kind of like how that breaks too. Yeah, I think I like 1/2. So now let's just space this out a little bit. Cool. So that's going to give it a good frame to kind of have that background image behind it. So I like that. Let's hit these buttons real quick. I believe this was the blue one, right? Yeah, blue. So we want to do BG blue. Probably about 700. Text white is already there. We want to do we need to do uppercase? Yes. uppercase, tracking widest, and rounded MD. Okay. We also want to do padding 4 and display this as block. We want to do padding Y as 4, but padding X is maybe 8. Yeah, I like that. And then when we hover, BG blue, do we want to do 900? 900 feels a little too washed out, I think. Maybe 800. Yeah, maybe it should be 800. And then when we hover on it, we go to like 600. We just lighten it up a little bit. Yeah, I like that. I like that better. It'll kind of be muted like the site, and then when you mouse over it, it'll kind of come forward a little bit. Let's give this a little bit of padding too. Nice. And I want to do on this one margin right of 8 maybe. We'll see once we get this in there. So I'm going to copy all of that. Get rid of the margin 8. And let's see if we can do the same with kind of shades of green. Yeah, I like that, but I want a little bit more space in between them. Maybe we'll go to 12. Cool, I like that. This is a little tight though. So let's come to this paragraph. Yeah, that's good. I like that there. Now you're noticing we're not doing anything for mobile yet. We're gonna come back and do that. Like I said, I'm just chunking stuff out here. Before I wrap up, I kind of got to wrap up in the next 30 minutes or so. I think we can go a little further. I'm not gonna put that background image in there yet. Or actually, I could. I can show you how to do that with helmet. So let's do this. Let's hide all of this from our design. Okay, let's hide the header as well. Cool, so now I've got this. So let's mark, it is marked for export, sweet. So let's export selected. Let's do BG power lines. There's probably gonna be several background images on this, so we'll wanna make sure that we keep them separate name, not like BG homepage or BG whatever. We'll do them by like kind of what they are. So we'll export that. And then I can come into, since we're going to do it on a per page basis, I'm on the index page here, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually set up a CSS class per background image. So let's just start so we see. So let's do BG just so I can follow Tailwind's kind of convention. Let's call it power lines. We're going to say background image is URL. Images, power lines. I want my background size to be cover. No, I don't. I want it to be its actual size. I want my background position to be top left. I may change that to top center. Yeah, maybe I do want it to be top center. Now in our index file, I'm actually going to call helmet, which Gatsby has a plugin that it comes with default, by default. When you do like Gatsby new and then the name of a site, you'll get helmet in there. Helmet's just a React library that helps you manipulate stuff in the head of the document. It was actually made by the NFL and open sourced, so I love the fact that they called it helmet. I think that's genius. So good job, NFL. We can here do a property called body attributes, which is going to take an object, and I can say class is BG power lines. So essentially what I'm saying is on this page, add the power line class to the body tag. So now when I come back, you see it's there. So we're rolling. The sizing of it though is a little off, but that's kind of okay because it's kind of designed to fade into the thing. I wonder if I can contain it to. It's almost like I need a container around the header and the content. Which is essentially the same as the body. Let's maybe tweak the size a little bit. Background size. There's no size. Background size. 50%. There it goes. It built. 50% isn't right, but we do want to make sure. I forgot. Background repeat. No, repeat. Oops. I know. Just let it rebuild and you'll be fine. Okay, so let's fix the 50% thing. So you see here, it gave me the class of BG power lines. So let's start upping the percentage a little bit. See, 100% though, I'm not sure that that's going to work. Okay, let's try something. Just to give our page some more content here. Let's see. So I want to make an empty array of 10 empty items, basically. I want to map over them. Just so React doesn't complain, do that. Okay, so that does fade out like I want, but it's just a little big, that's all. And yes, I know it's like potato quality, but it's just a placeholder image. They owe me actual images for this. I think this is okay. I mean, what we can do is we can kind of spread this out with some more padding and stuff. So let's actually take that from 24 to 48. Gets us a lot closer there. And then what I can do down here, let's just see what this looks like. Okay, so what if I gave it a padding of... Yeah, I like that better, but I think it's got to be like 48 possibly. Oops. Yeah, I think that works. Yeah. Okay. So that's set up. That's decent looking right there. But now we got to go into some of these sub images. Now, you can't really tell this from the design, but these images should kind of stretch for us. And I'll size them up correctly when I get the actual images so that, you know, their aspect ratios and stuff are right. But we want these images to kind of be 50%, not of the container, but of the screen. And so we can set that up real quick with Tailwinds. I'll show you how to do that. So let's export this image. We'll just call this homepage. Wait, what we do, yeah. Oh, pick up a pigeon. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate that. HP, what we do. And we'll just do this one real quick. I'm trying to use XD more and more. I really am, but I'm an old school guy, and Photoshop is fine. Like, I miss Photoshop. There's some things that Photoshop has that XD doesn't have that I just miss right now. So hopefully XD will catch up, because I love it. It feels more like Sketch than Photoshop does. And like, it's hard for, I'm going on a tangent, I'm sorry, but it's hard for me to go to Sketch too, because I don't feel that Photoshop vibe from it that it's XD. But it's just, XD is just not quite there yet in terms of features. Okay, so back to the actual stuff that folks care about, and that's code. Let's jump in here real quick. So we're gonna do the 2 rows, image on the left, text on the right, and then image on the left, text on the left, image on the right. So let's just knock this up real quick. So we want it to be half of the browser for that one, half of the browser. And so we'll basically have an image, and then we'll have some text. Let me just grab this text from here. So we'll have these be H2s, what we do. That can be a paragraph. This one can also be a paragraph. And then we're gonna copy this. Actually, we should do that. Paste that one, and then paste that one. And so operations, we know that this is FPO, so we'll just do that. Change the title to be operations. Why is it saying I don't have a div close somewhere? Where did I miss it? Oh, I see. Snuck in an extra div on me. Hold on. Got some divitis here. Let's see what we got. So we're open. That one goes there. That's that. That goes there. This one is missing one. So now, back to the site. Not doing anything because we didn't tell it to flex. So this guy's got to flex. Nice. Now let's put them on all 4 lines because we didn't tell it also to, or all 4 on one line, I should say. We didn't tell it to flex wrap. Nice, that's what we want. Kind of this almost like gridded look to it. So we're gonna need to run a query, close out some of this stuff to get these images. So we will grab and GraphQL imports. I will also grab query as an example. Wait, where did that go? Oh, yeah. We've actually got to do this as that. And then we actually have to tell this functional component, I should say, that we want to return what's down there. All right, so it's grabbing the logo, which doesn't give us much good. So we'll call this what we do and get exactly what we need. HP what we do. HP what we do. And the other one is operations. And I'm actually not gonna put a max width on them. Actually, I probably should. Yeah, that max width is 1050. Might have to tweak that a little bit. I'm gonna grab that from earlier. So this first image is going to be what we do. That's what we do. And we can say power lines for what? Power lines. Because screen readers will hit that, and I'll actually say power lines image, or power, they don't say picture. I think they say image. So we don't really need to do this, because then screen readers would read it as power lines image. And that would get annoying to folks that are using screen readers. Used to work at a bank. Well, I mean, I can tell you, I used to work for Bank of America. Spent a lot of times with screen readers and stuff like that. Some of it was fun, some of it wasn't. Kind of nitpicky on some of the things that they like and don't like. Okay. That is exactly what we were going for there. So that's cool. What is the size of these? So computed 900. Okay. All right, so now we need to get this text kind of knocked up here like we like it. So I want a padding X on this of like 24. Actually, maybe even 48. Well, no, we're gonna make the font bigger, so let's see. So by default, I want the text to be extra large. That's good for those paragraphs, I believe. And then what we do, you can actually be like text for Excel. Oh no, wait, that's as big as the header we did above. So let's make it 3, font bold, tracking, widest. I like it. We need to make it uppercase too. So we'll call it uppercase. Nice. If you're watching, I see I got a couple watchers. Make sure to follow. I'm going to start doing this more and more throughout the week. Hit follow, get notifications when I go live, and come on back and hang out. Cool. I actually want to put a little more padding on that. Stack Overflows, thanks for the host. I appreciate that, bud. Don't worry, I'll stop coding for a bit and we'll play some Battlefield later. Don't worry about that. Maybe we'll play Call of Duty today. I need to play Rust. I haven't played Rust in years, quite literally. Oops. A little bit better. I do want to give some padding to. So let me do margin top on this a little bit. Margin top 12. I want to push this down some from that kind of fade there. Maybe a little more. Okay, so let's do some of these same styles over here on the other header. And then we need to grab that. Nice. And we will also need some padding top on this. Padding top. That's too much. Half that maybe. Wait, which one am I doing that on? Why is that not coming up? Oh. So let's take that back. That should be 24. All right. So let's do this. Let's finish up the footer, and then we'll kind of end the stream for today. And when I stream tomorrow, we will make some of the stuff dynamic and pull some more stuff in, like the pages list and stuff like that. We'll pull that in from Gatsby's API because I do have some stuff to do for the day job. All right, so let's take a look at our footer that we need to build. Pretty simple. Just a couple columns. All right, so we'll do that in our layout. And we'll actually go ahead and grab this so we can kind of repeat it down here. I want to make sure that the flexes, and it should also be centered. Nice. Now you notice I set black for the background color. I actually need to set the background color to be this gray, but I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. Let me get my artboard first. So homepage, the fill is that. So the way you got to do this, most folks know this trick, is I want my footer to kind of have that color that goes all the way across, and have my footer will kind of flex up and down a little bit. So I want that black background behind there the whole time. So I want the body background to be black, so that way it just kind of it takes it. And then I'll make the background of the main content be the gray, and actually probably the header too, be that gray. So simplest way to do that is I'm going to go into the style sheet first. This is why I set background image, background position, background repeat, and not just background, because I didn't want to accidentally overwrite the background color or have to specify it in every line here. Pick up a pigeon. Yeah, this is actually for a client. We're going to do, I'm flipping a coin between Contentful and Prismic. So you will see me integrate that. I'll probably actually start that tomorrow. But today I'm just kind of knocking out the shell of this homepage and getting it set up, and then I'll pull that in tomorrow. So check out tomorrow's stream roughly around the same time, and you'll see me working on that. Good question though. All right. So going in here again, let's just make a class called without typing class, BG site gray, and we'll just do background color on this one to be that 1C. So in my layout, I'll give it to the heavy site gray, and I will give it to main class name BG site gray. Boom. We messed something up. Oh, because it's stacked on top. That's why. Okay, so I'll have to do it the other way. So I actually have to put it on the body and not make that flex. So I'll have to do that. I'll have to do it this way. So, oops, should have deleted that. We'll have to do BG black for that. We'll need to do div class name equals that. Boom, there's that. Let's see how jacked we are now. Not super jacked, but still need to pull that class off first. So let's pull the class off of that. Come back in here. Get rid of that. I'll say background. Actually, let's just copy it. Oh, it's rebuilding. There it goes. Cool. Okay. That's what we wanted. That looks fine. Now let's tweak out that footer a little bit. So my footer is, let's give it a padding Y of 12. Maybe a touch more. I think we have an 18 option, don't we? Nope, we don't. Does it go straight to 24 after 12? I have a 16 option. Yeah, I like 16 better. Okay. So then below this, we'll do address, and we'll do, I want to say it's not italic. And then we'll do street address, city, state, zip. Yeah, there we go. Give that a little bit of padding. That may be an inline element. No, it's not. We'll do line and letting loose to give a little more line height between those. Yep, cool. And now we are going to repeat the nav. So I'll do div with class name of width of 2/3. Yeah. That's how I want to do this. It's going to flex. It's going to justify end. And then it's going to have two divs here. So one. And two. Oh, I didn't tell this to flex. Yeah, so there's going to be the two columns for our nav links, which is going to be a little more than the main nav, but these, and again we'll make most of this dynamic tomorrow. What links do I need there? Home, about, team, and services. Don't want that one. Don't want to flex these. Don't want the padding on them either. Or do I want it to be 2? Yeah, I think we would want the padding on those to be 2 so that they would be a little bit smaller. So let me tweak the padding on this, and we will do that other column and wrap it for today, I believe. Yep, so that's right. So now I'm going to take this, put it in 2, and what were my other 2 links? Projects, careers, and contact. Ooh. Projects, careers, projects. All right, so there we have, oh, no. I forgot to keep home in there. All right, so there we have it. We now have a setup layout that we can start to make dynamic with the CMS. So we're going to do that tomorrow on tomorrow's stream. Come back. We'll be using either Contentful or Prismic, I think I've said, to kind of, make this more data-driven and not as static. So check into tomorrow's stream. If you watched today, thanks. If you're watching now, make sure to give a follow. I would appreciate it. Thanks, and I will see you tomorrow.